button here, this banner shouldn't be showing. So a few things. Let's get another version of the site up. Why does it do that? I want one not in preview and one in preview. It's a slow site anyway, needs to work. Right, so this is it when it's not broken. So the header, like that's going to be so easy to fix. That's just going to be there's some styling gone astray somewhere. So we come down to a head like that. That looks all right. That looks pretty close to it. Yeah. And then you get down to about here. And then it's doing that on the live site as well. That must be this image is a little bit wide. But still, anyway, you get down to here, and then all the footer's fucked up. So so it needs a bit needs fixing down there. But like that's part and parcel of the job. Like so. There's loaded in 9.31 second, and my optimized version is loaded in 12.5. And what I think that the reason is that I'm in preview mode first off. Preview mode is always a little bit slower, and then the things that are wrong is that there's a script that turns this bit down here into a button. So I imagine that script is going AWOL somewhere and causing the page to slow down. So we'll see. Let's refresh that one, refresh this one, see if it loads any quicker. I think my internet's actually slow because it's not normally that slow. 5.91. 12.1, same as it was before.
Yeah.
Slightly better. Right. Okay. So this waterfall diagram is of the one I've optimized. This is where you can tell if your optimizations are being successful or not, and regardless of how fast the page loads, because that is more of a. I don't like to track page load speeds in my own browser because my internet might be playing up, it might be going up and down. I'd rather look at more solid things than that in order to gauge it. That's not recorded the load lines. So just reload that one again.
Some of the online speed tools also give you this waterfall. Why not try those? Like
say again, sorry.
Like GTmetrix give this waterfall illustration for.
Blanket rule. I just don't use GTmetrix at all. If I'm a bit stuck for ideas as to what to do, I might go to GTmetrix and say, okay, what can you find wrong with this site, and then optimize from there. Right. So the page, you can see the page load red line there, yeah.
Yeah.
So the red line. So what I'm doing is I'm just adjusting the waterfall at the top so that we're just underneath the red line, so we can see what needs to load in order to reach the page load event. And we've got 296 HTTP requests. HTTP requests is one of the biggest reasons a site slows down. If there's way too many of them. So the first optimization is I want to reduce HTTP requests by reducing the amount of external calls to scripts and stuff like that. I've also just move these down slightly. Also, in the footer, you see these the payment icons at the bottom.
Yep.
I've written a what should we call it? A CSS sprite for those. So these payment icons over here, and these payment icons over here. The difference between them is that there's only one image displayed on mine, whereas there's 5 on this one. So there's 5 HTTP requests going on the right hand side. And on the left hand side, there's only one. So we save like 4 HTTP requests. Often you get 10 payment icons.
Yeah.
So doing that saves 9 HTTP requests. And when you get like the HTTP request down to like 75, saving another 9 at that point is huge. It makes a big difference. So what I've done is in this optimization is I've done a lot of you can tell that my optimizations are going to make this lightning fast. I've got one problem I need to fix here. So you can see like both just undercutting the page load line. So this has got a time to first byte of 7.82 seconds. That's my version. So there's something wrong in the code somewhere that's stalling the server from delivering the document. When I find that, that'll come down to probably the same as this one. And then you see how much quicker all the assets are loading after that. Also, there's 141 HTTP requests to meet the page load, whereas I've more than halved the amount of HTTP requests coming through. It wouldn't surprise me if I've confused some of the scripting somewhere. So I'm going to do a performance profile shortly and see if I can spot what's going on with that. But we'll see anyway when we'll start there. Tagtray.com API tag. That's what it is. I've removed that. I've removed all the tag tray things. That's what it is. That's coming in on the probably on the Shopify server. I've installed a couple of apps, and when you go removing all the code and the apps are still active in the script tags, it can slow the site down a lot. So, yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah, so that's like when we get this down, because the total page load here is 10.93 seconds, but we've got 8 seconds of time to first byte, or 7.98 seconds.
Isn't that the server issue?
Hey?
Time to first byte is server dependent, or it's document itself makes it?
If there's lots of things that can contribute to it, I've got some rules of thumb. So the first thing is latency for Shopify around the world is I accept that there's latency. Shopify have servers through their own CDN, through fast CDN, and I don't think there's any site I've been to from here that with a healthy time to first byte. I think that all sites can be narrowed down to around about 400 milliseconds for time to first byte if there's not a lot going on the site. The biggest contributor to this I found is after 400, 500 milliseconds is the amount of work the server's got to do to produce the document. So you've got the DNS connect. We know that all Shopify sites are the same. Then you've got then it connects to the server. The server goes, "What are you asking me for?" And he goes, "Okay, well, I got these variables, and I'm looking for the homepage of that website." And it goes, "Right, okay, let me go and figure out what the homepage looks like and what needs to load in there." Because it's a liquid system, it does that every single time. Even though there's only 3 versions of the homepage, right? There's mobile, tablet, and desktop. But with theme settings and stuff like that, often it needs to go and do a lot of work in order to generate the document ready for the browser to start downloading all the assets. What's the size differences in the document? So this size of this is 55 kilobytes. That's the original one. The size of my one now is 75 kilobytes. So hang on. Yeah, 75 kilobytes. So I've added 20 kilobytes worth of text to it.
That's probably because you added the hard coding stuff?
Well, yeah, but I've also taken out 145 HTTP requests by doing that. So this should definitely be loading a lot quicker. This page load being 6 seconds, mine being 11, but 8 seconds of that is time to first byte. It's effectively load. The rest of it's loading in 3 seconds. So that's kind of in effect a half of the page load speed. So based on what's going on with the server there, I think that I've done a good job of getting the page speed down. I haven't optimized the templates yet, so that it wouldn't surprise me if when I start looking through the index template next, that I find the reason why this is taking so long to load. Like it's got a reference to something that should be in the head in the theme or something like that that's no longer there or something like that. It's probably that tag tray thing there because that's just been removed, but I haven't removed it from the index template yet. So yeah, we'll see what it's like. I'm just wondering if we can throw a quick test actually. The problem when I'm talking to you, Hash, is I start coming up with ideas. I'm just thinking about commenting out the content for the content areas. Like if I comment out the index template, then it will just essentially load the header and the footer with nothing in the middle. I wonder how long that will take, if it like loads in 2 seconds or not. I'm going to try that out. That's we need to get you up to where I currently am, I think, as quickly as possible. Right, okay, so let me show you what I've done. I've got a few processes in mind. So here is one of those that I've been working on today a little bit on how to make this easier. Okay. So what we need is for you to have a text editor like mine. Okay. Which I'll show you that actually. So it looks like this, but this is just a normal text editor with all the files that I'm looking at in the sidebar, right? So that theme.liquid that is just loaded. Looks like this. So it's very heavy up in the head with scripts and stuff. Very few HTTP requests happening, and then going into the body, down onto the bottom. But basically, what we need is the original. Let me just grab that. Okay, so I've got the files open here, right? Let me just minimize those and get them out of the way. So I've got, okay, I can give you these regex codes. That's no problem. So I've got the file system here. You can see everything, all right? Can you?
Yeah.
So this is the original one. So go to the theme.liquid and open that one up. And the first thing is that I want to do is check what is loading into the theme. So there's a quick, easy way to do that. Well, sorry, it's quite easy to do that, but it's not quick even when we're using like scaling our use on regex and stuff like that to find all of the bits. There's still a lot of moving around, so the right text editor is really important. Move to a new window. I'm pissed off because this didn't load perfectly, and it's going to show for the next hour. So this is the original theme.liquid. So I'm going to open up another text file, and basically what I did just before is let me think about how I'm going to do this now. If I clone that, where's the files gone? If I clone that, duplicate, make a copy, and we have a working version, we've got a saved version, right? So so what I want to do in here is using a text editor like this one, is that I can go find stuff that I want to pull out and analyze. So the first thing in Evernote is identify all the Shopify script tags, style tags, include and section variables. So this code will find all of those pretty quickly. So if I go to here, go find find that regex pattern. So the editor's got to have the grep option like that. And then what this one can do is extract all instances of that. For some reason, it puts like a carriage return on the end, but don't want that. But that code there will find them all out. So if I go to extract, it pulls them out into a list, and that's all of the ones inside of the theme.liquid that link to other areas of the site. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that's
so we don't miss any. The next code is identify all scripts.
Yeah, that's something already using from the last call.
Identify all scripts. So, and then extract all of those. So we've got all the scripts there. And then I want to identify any style tags. I know for a fact that there are no style tags in here. But that's not always the case. So get all the style tags out of here. And when I go to extract, it's going to say, no, we haven't found any. And you go, hey, there must be at least one style tag in there. No, there's no styles in there.
What about
so then
GTM?
I'm able to, hey?
No style coming from GTM as well?
It's taken me since when I first messaged you earlier till now to get that theme.liquid file right the way that I want it. And there's still a problem that I need to go and find and fix, which might take a little bit longer. So it doesn't happen quickly, and this is why we can't write a script to do it. I think that we can probably write a script that says, okay, here's a HTML file or a liquid file, which is the theme.liquid. Go and build a list of all of the variables and build another list of all the scripts. And it's just, but is that going to save much time here? It's not going to save much time. What I've got here, looking at these scripts here, this is the first thing I did was have a look at these scripts here. What needs to stay in the theme and what needs to come out? So pretty much, do you know how async works?
Yeah, I know.
Are you sure? Everyone says yes, but nobody actually knows.
I don't know things like you do, Dan. That's why I'm always looking for these calls.
Yeah, you do think like I do a lot of the time. Async, right, basically says to the browser, don't worry about the script. You can run this at the same time as your rendering processes. You can download it at the same time as your rendering processes. It doesn't matter. Async is basically saying it doesn't matter when you load the script. When it downloads, you can run it. It doesn't matter when you run it because it's not reliant on the render path. So any script that's not reliant on the render path can be downloaded in async. It's the same with defer as well. So with the defer option, what you're saying to the browser is download the script and load it when you're finished, when you've got the DOM ready. And then it'll run any deferred scripts after that. It doesn't really matter which order they go in, because if you're going to download an async or defer, then they can take different amounts of time to download it depending on the size of them. So it's whatever order they download in. Then it goes. You'll be able to hear my daughter in the background is making a right racket. But then you got the async, which is saying, okay, download this asynchronously, which is at the same time that you're doing other things. But as soon as I've downloaded and you have an available slot, stick me in. So that async is by design designed to get in the way of the page rendering. Many people say, no, async is fine to run because it won't stop the page from loading, only while the script is downloading. But as soon as it's downloaded, it looks for a spare socket to stick it in, and then it blocks the render. So async is one of the biggest cons, or the biggest misconceptions anyway, of the world. What most async scripts do, let's just look at this one, for example. What most async scripts do, this one here is Hotjar, right? Is reading the JavaScript here is it's basically saying, go to static.hotjar.com and download this script and abide by the rules we've got written down here. So it's telling the browser to do things. It's to make sure that it loads in the head. It's a script. It's running async, and the source is the source equals blah 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 blah. and it's appending the source equals, then it's appending some stuff onto the end of it, which is this JS bit here. So it's basically making sure that it's adding in the right ID. So it's adding that ID into the script. So when it contacts it, it's just great. So you could change this and make it a very easy just script download source by knowing what the variables are. But that script then downloads asynchronous. When it runs, it starts importing scripts left, right, and center. So as the browser is executing the Hotjar script after it downloads it from static.hotjar.com, and it calls other scripts in, they may or may not be running asynchronous as well. If they're running asynchronous, then they're downloading whilst the rendering is going on. But as soon as they come in, they stop the render, and they stop the render, and they stop the render. The worst ones in the world for this are Facebook. They have so many. Google ads as well. Google ads, the G tags from Google ads, the conversion JS and stuff like that is terrible. Analytics is terrible as well. And just get one of those DevTools open, because I have not my one, because I've taken all the tracking out. If we go to this one, and if we go type in Facebook, so just before the page load event, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 render blocks. They've all come in and they've executed. They're firing pixels off and all kinds of things, downloading pixels. All before this doesn't even need to run till after the page is finished downloading. And then as we open this up, you got what we thought was one single asynchronous script to begin with. Is now turned into 14 HTTP requests. Now this is being loaded from Trackify. So when we go to Trackify, we've got Hook.js, and then we've got the lazy.js. When I go and type in red retarget, that's okay. It's that's not connect. That's not one of it, is it? Is that no. Part of it? No. Okay. Yeah. So it's got. It looks like it's got three things. So now we're up to 17 HTTP requests, mostly before the page load event. It's however many it is, but still having that wait to the onload event is a really good idea. Analytics, I wait to the onload event to fire analytics. Any tracking at all. So that's one way to get to really dramatically decrease the amount of HTTP requests going in. Because now if I look for Facebook, we still get these because I haven't touched Trackify. So an easy way to shave another 15% of those HTTP requests is to just stick a window onload event listener before the Trackify code, and allow Trackify to load as soon as that red line appears. We will save another 17, 18 HTTP requests, which is about, maybe 12, 13% of them is down to that. We go looking for GTM, and that's thrown a few in. So I haven't amended the triggers yet. So we've got Google Ad Services and these things kind of cropping in before the page load event comes in. Which I need to go and fix that, because they should be coming in after the load event. But yeah, so there's like another 5 just by typing in GTM, Google, 11. So it's going to be quite easy to get 30 odd HTTP requests off that 140, and bring that page speed down, because every single HTTP request is blocking the render at some point, whether they think they are or not. Also, CSS that loads afterwards. So here we've got live search, Ocus concepts, CSS. These are further optimizations, because I know where that is inside of the theme. You've got like a Shopify assets one here. This is like a Shopify loaded one. That might be the preview bar actually. part of the preview bar because this one's like a test site, so I have a couple in. So yeah, so that's the optimization is to get HTTP requests down and get everything in order. What I've got here is I've got the document, and then we've got preloading of scripts of some heavier ones. I might take that one off because that's only 3.5 kilobytes. But some like the heavier ones, like 33, 16, 95 kilobytes for a for a JS file is huge. There's some of the files in this store are like 200 kilobytes for like full of text. And you wonder how much executing or scripting needs to happen when you go and get a file that size. For me, hook.js always takes a long time to load, and I think it's because it's
same here.
Is it CD end?
That was my same question to Bilal, but he said that they have server-side optimization pending for hook.js. I don't think it's done right now.
Yeah, so in the UK, it takes a while to load.
It's same on my screen. Then, like time to first byte is similar for hook.js, and it's twice.
Well, time to first byte at the moment is massive, but the hook.js, which is it's 40 kilobytes in size, is taking nearly a second to load, 3/4 of a second just to download.
Yeah, but if you see, 500 milliseconds is just time to first byte.
Say again.
500 milliseconds is time to first byte for .js. Is that because of
yeah, that's what I expect it to be. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. I might stick that in the preload box, but it probably won't make any difference there because the browser's obviously downloading a lot of files. But can you see that this file? This is blocking the creation of the DOM. You see how the DOM line is immediately after it. So whilst the server is...
Why can't we use defer on hook.js?
Because it will still want to know what's in it before it... I mean, I'm not doing anything to Trackify at all. I'm not touching it until later in the process. Later in this optimization process, I'll probably unload it to be honest, make it an onload thing. Images don't block the render directly, so images can cross the line, but you tend to find that the scripting can't. So it needs to get the scripting in, the CSS and the document already. So it's always the scripts that slow the DOM ready down. Now, if we pull the hook.js out of the way, how much time do you think we'd save? I mean, do you think we'd save like a second or so? No, not on this case, because we've got another script there that's only just behind, and then you have scripts that are coming in from analytics and Google ad services coming in. And it's usually the tracking that starts pushing out the load event. So that's why I'm keen to move the tracking out the way. When you do a good job of getting the scripts in order and getting the tracking out the way, the red line closes in on the blue line quite a long way, usually. So that's pretty cool. You can see here, like with a fast time to first byte. Remove that. With a fast time to first byte, you can see how you should be able to see a straight line down here and see a load event pretty quickly. But you can see, like, as we get down here, it's loading images, loading images, loading images. Then you start seeing things like Trekkie come in, and you start seeing, like, lots of the translation devices or whatever it is start coming in thick and fast, and all these things are like downloading and executing stuff, and it's preventing the page from reaching a full stage of render because the browser has to keep pausing to see to what these things are coming in. Then you've got the onload scripts which start there, which that's where we're saying, okay, nothing, try not to load anything until then. But then we can come through. But if we were to like just remove all of these and say unload them, we could still have them load at the same time. Well, if we just create that making a valuable, making a point of just saying, right, okay, these are the files that load, then we stop, As soon as the red line appears, we carry on loading. So we can probably get a page load event as early as, say, by here. So we can just say, we can try and still Trekkie, but if we can get the page load event to fire here, well, this event finishes at 1 second. Is at 1 second? Started at 9, queued at, and started at 9. Queuing. Yeah. So this finishes at like at 1 second or 1.2 seconds, 1.1 seconds. That finishes loading. So we should be able to see that right before that, say the script before that, that's blue line, only a short while after red line, and shave like 2/3 of the page load time. That's exactly what we're seeing here when we do that, because the red line is so close to much closer to the blue line. So we're getting we're kind of getting the load in. So what we've got here, got a Trekkie. So I think we can probably get it to here, but not much. That's the same. That's the same point in which I was just referring to on the other one. So they pull the blue line back and then get the red line to load sooner. So I know we've got a long time to first byte on that, which is obviously a server thing. But yeah. Anyway, you get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So in here, I've got another bit of regex that that I can use. So I'm looking for scripts that have at least one Shopify variable, or scripts that have an async or defer inside of them. So those are the ones that we want to look at. So if it's got async in it, async means that the script doesn't care when it gets loaded. That's also what it means. Loading it async means that the browser is going to treat it like it needs to be put in as soon as it downloads. But really, what async in the script means, and it still executes, is we're self-dependent. We don't care when we load. So you got something like Hotjar, can be loaded from GTM. So, oops. So this should. What's going wrong there? Let me have another look at that. I think I amended this.
Script with Shopify variable.
Why didn't I do that? I didn't amend it. I must have used it earlier on and not amended my thing in here. Sorry about that, Harsh. Say again. Sorry, buddy.
I said the script that has Shopify variables, like liquid variables, I don't think they can be fired from GTM, right?
I didn't quite catch your question.
Scripts with Shopify variables, they can't run from GTM.
Yeah, they can. Of course, come.
They can.
Yeah.
Even with the variables, like you have to make a data layer push first for that.
Yeah, you just make a data layer push with the variables. Right. Okay. Got it here. So I've got I need to. Have I amended that?
Yeah,
I've amended that. So this is looking for any script that's got async or defer in it. So we just go to the top of the document. Start up there. So I'm looking at going through them all one by one. Oh, it's not working properly. Or is it working properly? No. I'm gonna do that again because the regex is not stopping at the. It's not stopping at if the script doesn't have async in it. It's not stopping at the async. But anyway, it's not if it doesn't have async in it, it's looking for the next version of async in the text, and then it's basically it's not just highlighting just the text that I've got async written in them. So if we go down anyway and just look for async, so we've got Hotjar's async, so we can load that from GTM dead easy. So I just like remove that from the theme.liquid and then go and install it in GTM. We've got things like all of like the Google tag parameters, the G tags. We've got all kinds of stuff in here that doesn't need to be in the theme.liquid at all. We've got masses of Google tag parameters, which is running lots of different scripts, and then we've got like an onload plugin GA plugin installer there at the bottom. That doesn't even need to be, because we can set that automatically from GTM as well. So, so yeah, there's loads of stuff in here that we can just remove from the theme.liquid. Make sure it gets installed in GTM, and then we're good. We're good to go. So that's what I've done here. Is I've created a test trigger, so that as I'm adding it to a GTM in a preview environment, I've got like test triggers that only fire when I've got a test mode inside of the script. So the theme.liquid as it stands does not have that, but the one that I've just created does, which is basically a data layer push that says preview mode confirmed or something like that. So then this trigger looks for test mode equals confirmed in a data layer push. So at the moment that it receives that, it can fire these tags. It's on a custom event that I've created called afterload, which is after the window's loaded, data layer push, and then start loading stuff afterwards. So you got AdWords, GA, Hotjar, and I've got theme liquid tracking scripts. And inside of here, we've got Yotpo, Pinterest, Twitter, AdRoll, the promo bar, lots of stuff in there that is now not cluttering up the theme.liquid. So optimization number one. Optimization number two is this one, which is a bit harder. So the ones that don't have HTTP requests in them, like all of this scripting here, it looks like quite a lot. But when you kind of read through the script, it is literally just pulling on some variables, but it's making changes to the way that the page is going to look or function. So the jQuery is good for adding functions to things like, when you click the add to cart button, this is what happens to it, or, that kind of thing. So it's making the page dynamic. So they're all fine. It gets through those really easily. This is telling the server or telling the browser which functions to use in certain events and stuff like that. That I'm sure you already know.
But so, what about Shopify conditions? Like there are unless and ifs attached to it, and
yeah. So that you get a load of them inside the theme.liquid, right? So so just in one. So a lot of these scripts don't have conditions attached to them, but what I'm not doing is saying, okay, this is just an extract of all the scripts that are in there. So you have to like work between two windows and go back and just go, okay, we're going to remove all these scripts. So you go back to here, you find them, and then remove them like that. So then you see the code around them and stuff like that. So with these ones, you've got things like if the if template equals cart, and then you've got these kind of things after it and stuff. You can go and take your best guess on whether that should be included or not. This one here is like this is a script for the promo bar. It may have needed to run right then. What I've done with that one is I've gone and visited the Amazon's site that is. So just get in there, HTTP. Anything from Amazon's always slow to load. Anything that comes in, so many things do, will affect page load time. So go to there, just and then I just go in here and just say, go and find out how big that script is. In this site today, right, I've done this 4 times and found a blank page. It's doing a HTTP request to download nothing for a blank page, and it's taking like 300 milliseconds or something like that. So this is a relatively weighty script, and I thought, go on, I'll inline it anyway on the page. So that's what I've done. Is that one in particular is inlined. Often, like somebody get that this isn't very big at all. That's just like a couple of kilobytes in size. That's the one I've just shown you. This one is like minuscule, but this one's a live update. It's it's keeping tabs on all of the exchange rates. So where they're showing different prices for different currencies, this one we have to have a HTTP request for, because it's calling in the live exchange rates every time it's executed. So it's important that we realize that we need to maybe leave some things in just because they are designed to be that way. If we copy and paste this into the document and 3 months goes by and the dollar slips and everyone's getting a cheap deal from their site. They're wondering why the outside currencies are a bit skewed. That would be a lawsuit, I'm sure, if we made a cock up like that. So it's really like it's quite easy to make big mistakes like doing this. It's probably the one thing I'm a little bit worried about is we have to make sure that we catch all things like that every time. So we need to also develop a substantial QA quality assurance program. So every time that we update a site, we go through and make sure that everything is as it should be. To include where there's multi-currency, go and check the exchange rate on what we're doing and make sure it looks right. Make sure that the rates are live and stuff like that. So so the theme.liquid now looks like this, which is all kind of crammed in with loads of stuff in there. There are some things in here like if template contains customer, if template contains cart. Let's say with this one says include store pickup optimized. And what I've done is I've taken the store pickup page and I've optimized it because in that pickup page, it's got a HTTP request to a blank document. It's got 3 CSS files, and it runs the huge JS from for their stuff from there as well. And it says at the top, don't edit this code; it will get replaced on a daily basis. So I've created a copy so that we can run without their updates. If it works, it works, and allow it to keep the CSS separate and allow it to to benefit the page load in that way. I pull out things like also I think in that one it also has the Font Awesome. You have to be careful. Some of them load jQuery from their app files, and you might already have jQuery downloaded, installed, having cost like 300 milliseconds, and you get 2 more instances of jQuery, exactly the same version, download and execute because they put a different giving it a slightly different method or something like that. The browser will just do exactly what it's told to do. So yeah. So I just need to go find out what it is that we don't need that one. We don't need that one. I've just done that. So I've put together the whole file, stuck it in, and then I've gone and checked it out. So the first time I do something, it turns out a little bit broken. This is missing a background image down here. The sizing is slightly out. I'm not sure why the button hasn't come. That might also be a style. It's probably missing script, and the styling at the top's missing. So I'm fairly confident I'm going to fix those errors pretty quickly. Hopefully, when I do that, the time to first byte is going to dramatically decrease at the same time. So yeah, hoping for it anyway. Reloading this page, starting again, and it's 10 seconds time to first byte. It's ridiculous. Started, queuing, stored. And you can see here request sent, and then just waiting for the server. Big green bar.
Mm.
And then we've got one JS file being downloaded. Hang on a minute, where's jQuery gone? Rinses.js. This has gone a bit hicklety-picklety because that's not. Oh, it's loaded the original now. Taken it out of preview mode.
No, it's preview.
Making sure I haven't updated the live version. Yeah, it's delicate when you're doing this for clients. It's very delicate because you have to always be careful that you're not doing something that's going to break the live site. So everything's got to be gauged in preview mode, and it's annoying and frustrating when it doesn't quite work. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is.
What do you want to know anyway? You must have some questions for me, I would assume by now. I need to show you the most valuable part of this text editor, why we want to use this text editor. So here I've got an option here with new and open up a disk browser. This is so cool. So if I go to the existing file set, I open up a version of the text editor that looks like this, and I can open up a search function for it. So we got search here. So now I'm looking for any deferred, or let's just make this easy for us. Let's choose style. So style tag, and some style tags are on more than one line. So I'm going to go any character over any number of lines, as many characters as you want to include, but please stop at the closing style tag. That's what that regex basically means. And then okay, and then we can go see this here. It's looking at the entire folder, so we can go and find all, and then it prints one of these things here, and we can then go and find every single style tag in the entire theme files. So I always ignore the JSs because we start messing with them and we break the site. That's my experience with it anyway. Check out liquid, not bothered. Check out liquid. Check out liquid. Cross-cell.liquid. Probably filter menu.liquid. Probably magic zoom plus.liquid. And this is where we start seeing where the render blocking is going to come in. So we want to check these out. So if I click on that, it loads that file, and you see that where this is, if template is product, so we know which template it's from. It goes script, great, yeah, all function, and then it loads a whapping load of style into the middle of the page load, and then it runs another script. So what will be happening is when the server's trying to render the page, it gets to this script here and it goes, okay, I need to stop the rendering so I can run this script, and it runs a script. Then it's got this one here that's saying, okay, run the script. If else, it's got to find out what goes where. That's what the server has to do. And if, okay, great. And then it goes style, and the server goes, right. So now I've got to apply this to the DOM tree. And then it goes and applies it to the DOM tree, and it starts the rendering process again. Meanwhile, when it's got idle time, it's running all these extra scripts. So it carries on working down the thing. So it's trying to render and it's trying to run scripts. The rendering and the scripting is single thread only. So it has to render the page and run the scripts at one at a time. It can only do one thing at a time. It does those things very quickly, but it's only one thing at a time. So it's constantly holding up the rendering to see what a script says. And then the inline scripts aren't too bad because it can look ahead and know what they are. But when you got like this one here, it gets down to here and it's document write script source app.jquery.js, and that's a HTTP request. So it doesn't know what that script says. So it stops everything to download that script and execute it when it gets there. Because this is even a script saying that it wants to download a script. And that's all it is. So we need to move the styles out of the way so that it can load the styles and not block the rendering every time it comes. So and make sure that it's not going to reset the rendering every time it encounters another style tag. Then we got this one here, style. This is like shot meta fields, part filter system, whatever. It's a style sheet. Well, I mean, why? Let's just put things. These need to go back up to the head, because most of these will appear in the body somewhere. Style. This is my next optimization, is to go through and pull all of these out. I've got a neat little trick. So if I select the bottom one here and I select the top one that I'm interested in up here and press copy, move that out of the way, go and find a new file over here and press paste. It downloads the entire lot into one page. So I've got all of this style that's just come out of the thing. So the good thing here is that it kind of prepends them all with the file that it came from. So I can like remove the reference to the thing and I just kind of like remove that bit from them all and then go, okay, snippets cross-cell liquid. So I know this is coming from the cross-cell.liquid, and I can go and find out where the cross-cell.liquid shows. Create a style sheet to include in the head with a if template equals tag in front of it, that kind of thing. So some of these styles are quite long. They are going to have a serious effect on the page load time. So my next job is to.
Then I don't see any style that has Shopify if conditions attached to it. Like I was doing
because they're inlined into the platform. We have to create those.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the style tags that have Shopify in conditions, if conditions? Like I was trying to move a style that was part of my header liquid into main theme.liquid, but it has a lot of styling, a lot of conditions involved coming from mobile screen to desktop.
Okay, yeah. So the header, the header is a section, isn't it?
Yes, section.
You go to if you've got a header template, which isn't normally the case, you go to the header section. The sections are followed by the schemas, so that's really difficult to decipher. I haven't got as far as that yet. I haven't managed to figure that one out. So if it's got a style sheet in there, what I do is go to if it's a non-variable one, like the header loads on every page, right? So if it's got that kind of run of CSS in it where it's looking for a load of options, the header's the same on every page. So I have a bit of a workaround cheat, which I haven't been doing this long enough for there to be any serious backlash from, but I'm going to get this eventually. But I've started saying to clients, look, we've got some dynamic CSS that's slowing your page load down. How often do you change your settings? And they say, we don't really change our settings. No. Okay, well, the server's trying to figure out what the settings are every time it loads a page. For the header, why don't we do a hard-coded version? And they can create a header hard-coded file to include. And then when Cloudflare picks that up, it'll cache it locally and then allow you to download do a fast HTTP request for a static file for the header instead of it being ran full of variables like every bit of code inside of Shopify. That's the main reason they're slow, is because it's so customizable that they have to have everything as liquid and variable as possible. But once the site's built, you can make lots of sections static. So what I do in that, or what I like to do, is go to the website. This is going to blow your mind as to how simple it is. So it's for the header section, right? So that is all of this bit here. So if I go to elements, you know what the elements look like, right? So
yeah.
Just going to go to elements and find the header section. Must be getting close.
I've done that on ISM. The footer is hard-coded and really did leave a good impact on the website. Now I was trying to do the same thing for the header, but the header had a lot of dynamic CSS style. And every time I tried to get that into the theme liquid header file, it would just break.
Right. So you see, I've got this area selected now. I've got the header selected, and I've got a plugin. I've got a plugin on. So that selector here is this one. So this is the container content, which is which is just down below the cart drawer, and this has got all the header stuff in it. So what this plugin called CSS used is looking for is all of the CSS used on this page, which is that there. That's the CSS used in this element, sorry. So you can essentially come in here, download that, and stick that in its place. The other thing is if you got like if you could get like a header.css, which is usually massive, full of options, you can go to the network tab and get the parsed version. So like the style CSS here, but sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. They're obviously, this isn't calling the SCSS version of the style sheet, which is probably a good optimization. So it's pulling in the whole sheet as it stands, not the minified version. New styles, is this one? No, that's not minified. Font awesome. That one is, because I've got this selected, so that's coming in on one line. So, you know, we can look for minified versions that way. Yeah, but sometimes just leave it. Just go with the easy stuff. Find the low-hanging fruit and move the easy styles to move, which are usually not run full of variables.
Yeah, I've taken the same approach, Dan. Like the thing that you said to your client, like how often do you make changes? I said the same thing to me yesterday, and I don't make much changes in Shopify. So I went into the Team Liquid and even Index, and I just simply removed everything in the conditions and includes that wasn't playing any part in my website.
Yeah, we can't do it that way because the conditions are there, so you can get it loads like the way you want it to look. You've got to replace those conditions with static HTML content.
Yeah.
You did it in a backup, right?
What?
Did you do it in a backup file or did you do it
Yeah,
in a live
obviously.
site?
I have an entire structure of files. Backup 1, backup 1.1, backup 1.2. I like to keep things tidy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else to cover. Do you want to have another stab at it? I don't know how to get this text editor on a Windows machine. So you need to find something dead similar, but it's the being able to scan all files and show you where everything is important.
Sublime does that. Yeah, yeah.
Well, you can open up a folder.
Yeah. If you want, I can share my screen and show you.
Yeah, go for it. Where's my controls gone? How do I end the screen share? Oh, you've taken it. That's cool.
Yeah. So I have already file right now. This folder. There you go. Now the entire file is there, and if I want to search, for example, your regex here, I would simply oh.
Is lunch ready? Is it?
2 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
So I've set search folder, entire folder, and fine. There you go. It also mentions the file.
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically the same, but still exploring the options. Like now you did this.
So you see that. Just go back to that one. So just there was one there that's got the one that you got your cursor on now. So that is style. Then it says if section settings map grayscale.
Yeah.
Then it says maps whatever. So when you put that into the theme.liquid, it goes, we don't know how to read this variable.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a section one only. So it's not looking at a section. So where the CSS is dependent on the section, I haven't tested this yet. I haven't tested leaving that in and then finding a way to change it. But one thing is that you can look at that CSS there and go and say, is your settings map set to grayscale? And then if it is, then just copy the CSS and leave the condition out of the way. And then don't put the CSS in that is to a condition that doesn't apply.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Let me show you this. So this one has dynamic header. It's coming from sections. It's coming from header, and on the header we have script that I've already moved and a style with tags. Now I was trying to do get this header hard coded. This style just made me confused. Like there was a lot of variables in
Yeah.
variables coming from schema, I think.
So because it's looking for a variable for everything, because in the customization part of the theme, you can set all of those things up. So how big do you want your header? Oh, I'll have it at 100 pixels, or I'll have it 50% wide or whatever. So that's calling those in every time. So one way around that is to go and look up the variables that you have in your customization, which will take a short while. Or you can kind of guess, load it, get the DevTools open, and then just fine tweak it in DevTools. Copy the CSS rules out of DevTools and paste it into the theme. Do it that way. But it's the header's a weird one because it loads on every page, and I'm not sure how much that affects the speed of the site. But it's certainly like when you've got like two layers in on the like say if you've got like the swatches.liquid. The swatches.liquid runs a JavaScript. It has a load of images that it uses for the swatches, and then at the bottom it styles them all. Well, that style is usually a static style tag, a static HTML tag. Removing all of those from those kind of pages and bringing them to the theme.liquid under a if template equals product, it makes a big difference to the page load. And these are the sorts of things that take a page load from like 12 seconds to 4 seconds, that kind of thing. That's the kind of optimization that does that when there's enough of them, because it's constantly
only deliver when it's needed.
Say again.
I said only deliver when it's needed.
Yeah. I mean that I mean if you load like a lot of the CSS from the styles.css document is going to be like 80% redundant anyway, because it's CSS to cover all of the options inside the customization sections. But when you're loading a CSS that doesn't need to apply on that page, that's okay as long as it loads in the CSS section at the top of the theme.liquid, because it's just going to take another couple of kilobytes of download space, which finer optimizations later on we'd want to tweak that. But in the first optimization, it's just really about making sure that we're not stopping the rendering process by having the style load in stupid places. And anything that loads inside of the body tag is generally quite stupid. I'm not too sure how with the header, and it's got schemas and stuff like that. I don't know how much look ahead time the Shopify system does for that, because it's got to read the schemas and make sense of those as well. So I think that it probably I don't think that when you look at the code that the header section is actually loading any style into the body. Even though it's in the header section on the theme.liquid, it looks like it's beyond the body tag. I'm pretty sure because of the schemas, it's injecting it into the head. I'm going to look into that because I don't know the answer to that for sure.
Well,
if it injects it in line into the head, that's okay because it doesn't have to stop running scripts to download the CSS file to see what it says, because the browser will scan all the code in the head, take the HTML tree, get any style it has from that and add it to the HTML tree, and then start running scripts. It'll do it in that order. If it's got to download style sheets, all the server will do is say to the browser, these are the style sheets you need to download. But then the server will start downloading in the order that it sees things, and then start trying to render whilst things are downloading, and that's what trips it up. So then it downloads a file further down the line. It's got script tags in it. You know, like include this file or asset URL. Asset URLs are the worst ones because they're downloadable links to the browser. So you got asset URL, style sheet tag, like, you know, in the footer. It's gonna fuck it up.
Okay.
Yeah, you're making good headway, buddy.
Just I like to experiment things, Dan. Like, and now you've shown me your regex. Can you share those with me? I want to know.
Yeah. Well, the ones that are working for sure. This one. Hey, let me just grab those. These ones aren't really working as. Oh no, that one is. What does that one do? Yeah, so if you download all of the scripts and then search for, I don't think this one works actually, so I'm going to not do that one just at the moment. With no sure that one doesn't work either, but hey.
Here's my look at my index.liquid. It's all custom hard coded. There's nothing except for this that's coming from template.
So that is like, if you can get like the so the index is like that, but there's no reason why the header can't be like that as well, really, is there? Yeah. You can do that by, if you go to the header section inside of the elements section, like in here, let's just say container, right? So this here is like the header stuff. Yeah, that's the header stuff. So I can like right click or two finger click on that, go to copy out a HTML, and then we'll paste that somewhere.
Oh, I've already done that.
Yeah. So we've got the HTML for the header without it being full of variables. The only issue with this is that it's not taking into consideration how it will do that differently if it's a mobile phone or something like that. So you have to. It's like, yeah, it's worth testing, because what's bad for page speed is having it fully responsive. What's better is to have like 3 versions that load differently, that can skip like some of the content if it's a mobile. But some of them,
say that again.
Some of them. Oh, okay. So some of the sites, they have like they load differently, like they have different header files for different devices. So if it's mobile, load this one. If it's not, that load that one. But some of them just load everything, which isn't the greatest for page speed. But then they hide what they don't need to see on the screen. So those are the ones that are easier to grab the HTML for. Linda Stars does that.
Which one is the best practice?
Well, it just depends on what's there. We have to work with what we're given. So I think it's probably better to have in the theme.liquid, if mobile, if device equals mobile or the equivalent, then include this. If device is not mobile, skip this bit and then have the server miss bits of code out. You can do that with the HTML as well as the other stuff. So
because when I hard coded, this is the hard coded header for my website right now. When I hard coded it, I also copied same thing for my mobile as well. So it's twice. It's like two headers placed in it, and the second header only shows up on the mobile.
Yeah, so you can wrap that in liquid tags, like, you know, only write this HTML code if it's a mobile device, or if screen width is more than 475, less than 475, then use this one, or the screen width is, and do it that way. You can write that directly into the theme.liquid.
Hardcoded thing seems to work fine on mobile. Desktop, it's giving me bad view, and I've copied it from the desktop. That's anyway, that's just some styling in a second.
Yeah. Hash, I've got another call in 2 minutes. I need to, I've just seen the time.
Same here. I'm getting messages.
I tell a lie, I've just had a notification pop up. I'm gonna have to shoot, buddy, but I'll speak to you on the messages. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Shortly.
Okay. All right.
All right.
It's been nice
Take it
talk.
easy. Speak to you in a bit. Keep going with it.
Sure.
Ta-da.
Have you shared your regex?
I'm gonna put it in your Skype in a minute.
Okay,
I'm gonna do that now. Actually, I'll do that in Skype now.
Okay, man. Bye bye.
Okie dokie. Ta-da, buddy.